Good morning. I'm Doug Hudson, Chair of the Delaware Commission of Veteran Affairs, and on behalf of the DCVA and the DDVA and the Delaware River and Bay Authority and the Delaware National Guard, welcome to today's ceremony. The War Memorial that stands before us contains the names of 20,000 Delaware and New Jersey service members who gave their lives during World War II, the Korean War, and present day to include Operation Iraqi Freedom. At this time, we ask that you observe a moment of silence for those names inscribed on the memorial and for all who have given that last full measure. Thank you. Please rise for the presentation of colors by the Delaware National Guard, Joint Honor Guard, and our national anthem sung by Army Specialist Carter Stephan. Present colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Now, please remain standing for the invocation by Delaware National Guard State Chaplain William Guy.
Please join me in a word of prayer. Most gracious and loving God, today we take the time to remember and give thanks for those who have cherished freedom and liberty more than life. As we recall with thanksgiving those who have lost their lives in the defense of America, let us rededicate our lives to the ideas for which they paid the ultimate price. Their legacy is our birthright and our responsibility. Help us to perform the mission placed in our hands so that generations yet unborn will continue to enjoy the freedom we hold dear. Grant us skill, dedication, and courage for the daily task of maintaining the bright torch of liberty. Now, by your grace and by your power, let us mount up with wings as eagles. Let us run and not grow weary. Let us walk and not faint. That our land may ever exist in peace and security. We ask this in your holy name. Amen.
Please be seated. At this time, we would like to recognize our distinguished guests in the audience. Please welcome the 46th President of the United States, Joseph R. Biden, Jr. The Honorable Governor Matt Meyer. The Honorable Lieutenant Governor Kyle Evans Gay. The Honorable U.S. Senator Christopher Coons. The Honorable U.S. Representative Sarah McBride. The Honorable former U.S. Senator Tom Carper. The Honorable Delaware Secretary of State Sharundi Parabanda Sanchez. The Honorable Delaware Secretary of the Department of Veteran Affairs Karen Berry. The Honorable Delaware Attorney General Kathy Jennings. The Honorable Delaware Treasurer Colleen Davis. Okay. The Honorable Delaware Insurance Commissioner Trinidad Navarro. Okay. The Honorable Delaware Auditor of Accounts Lydia York. Mayor of Wilmington John Carney. Adjutant General Major General James Benson. President Pro Temp of Delaware State Senate, Senator Dave Sokola. Senators and representatives of the Delaware General Assembly. Newcastle County Executive Marcus Henry. Newcastle County Council President Monique Williams Johns. Executive Director of the Delaware River and Bay Authority, Joel Kapatich. Executive Director of the Delaware Department of Veterans Affairs, Anthony Bordeaux. Executive Director of the Wilmington VA Medical Center, DeWanda Nelson Brooks. Major General retired Frank Vavala. Major General retired Michael Berry. And my number 2 man, Vice Chair of Delaware Commission of Veteran Affairs, Steve McGuire. And Delaware Commission of Veteran Affairs. You guys stand up. Delaware River and Bay Authority Commissioners. Where are they? No? And our Gold Star families. Thank you for that. We extend our thanks to all officials, service members, veteran service organizations, family members, and all veterans in attendance. It's now time for our Memorial Day message, if I can get it out. We are now honored to receive the opening remarks. Please welcome Governor and Honorable Matt Meyer.
Thank you very much, and good morning. Thank you, everyone, for coming out today. Thank you to the Veterans Commission. Let's hear it one more time for our Veterans Commission. Thank you for what you do for Joel and the folks of the Delaware River Bay Authority. Thank you for hosting us today. To our senators, our congresswoman, thank you to former governors in attendance, Mayor Carney, Governor, Senator, Treasurer, Representative Tom Carper, thank you for being here. So many members of our State House and State Senate, thank you for taking the time. To General Vavala and General Barry, thank you. To our Department of Veterans Affairs, our first Secretary of Veterans Affairs, General Barry, thank you as well. And to Lieutenant General Welser, thank you for being here. We look forward to hearing from you today. And to all those who have ever served, who have ever donned the uniform, and their family members, thank you so much for being here today. 6 years ago, just weeks after the first cases of COVID, we got a call that this event was rightfully canceled. But Memorial Day is not a day I thought we should simply skip. So I, a few weeks before Memorial Day, picked up the phone and called my friend Judy Campbell. And I said, Judy, we got to do something. However small, it's got to be safe. We got to do something. And a small group of us, 5, 6 of us, went over to where the Gold Star Memorial is now and said a small prayer, had a short little service. We gathered. General Vavala was there. General Vavala somehow knew, seems to always know, and is always there. And as we concluded that brief ceremony, quiet ceremony, unexpectedly, the leading candidate for President of the United States showed up. That moment has stayed with me because Joe Biden has always had a deep and quiet belief in honoring those who served and those who sacrificed. Not when cameras are present, not because politics calls for it, but because he understands deeply and personally what service costs and why remembrance matters. And because Finnegan's grandpa, he's always been there for us. Always. Today, our state not only pauses to recognize those heroes who paid the ultimate sacrifice for our liberty and our freedom, but we also pause as a state and as a country to honor the life of Bo, a hero named Bo, on this 11th anniversary of our loss and of his loss. To our veterans, to our Gold Star families, and to every family carrying memory of someone they loved and lost in service to this nation, thank you. For me, Memorial Day has never been abstract. It has faces. It has voices. It has names. In 2010, I spent 12 months in Iraq as a diplomat embedded with the United States Army at Forward Operating Base Marez in Mosul. And that year changed me. It showed me the courage of young Americans carrying extraordinary burdens with humility and strength. And on April 7th, 2010, a day I will never forget, 2 of the soldiers I served beside were killed in action. First Lieutenant Robert Collins of Tyrone, Georgia. Specialist William Blount of Petal, Mississippi. Robert was a West Point grad, the son of 2, not 1, but 2, retired Army lieutenant colonels. He was a short guy, just a little over 5 feet tall. And when Robert walked into a room, nobody noticed his height. They noticed his leadership. He was soft-spoken, calm, steady. And the soldiers he commanded respected him completely. He didn't demand attention. He earned their trust. Everyone called him Sweaty. When he was out of uniform at the base, there was almost always a sweatband on his forehead. Even now, remembering that makes us all smile. William Blount was 21 years old. His commanders called him the model soldier, dependable, disciplined, the kind of soldier every unit leans on. But what I remember most was his warmth, his generosity towards his colleagues. And when William was killed, his wife Amanda was 8 months pregnant with their daughter Avery. A little girl, today a 16-year-old, he never had a chance to hold. That's the weight of Memorial Day. Not only how they died, but all they should have lived to see. And every Memorial Day, I think especially of the heroes who are before us, our Gold Star families. Grief does not end when the ceremony ends. Love does not end when a folded flag is placed in your hands. The prophet Isaiah wrote, "Whom shall I send, and who will go for us? Here I am, Lord, send me." For the soldiers of the 2nd Brigade Combat Team, 3rd Infantry Division, who are leading our effort in Mosul, those words were more than scripture. They were their motto. They were a creed. Send me. When the mission was dangerous, send me. When freedom needed defending, send me. When their country called, send me. Robert Collins answered their call. William Blount answered their call. Captain Brian Founce answered their call. So many brave Americans answered that call. And we take a day today and every day to honor their service and sacrifice to all of us, to our freedom and to our liberty. It was President Biden who reminds us a nation is not only defined by what it does, but by what it remembers. So today we remember. We remember every Delawarean who answered the call and gave everything. We remember every American who answered the call and gave everything. And we promise to each other, we will remember. We will honor them. We will care for those they left behind. And we will strive every day to build a country, to build a state, to build our community, a community worthy of their sacrifice. May God bless our veterans. May God bless our Gold Star families. May God bless the memory of the fallen, and may God bless our extraordinary United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. Next, we hear from former President Joseph R. Biden, Jr.
Good morning, everyone. Seems lately, Lord wants us to celebrate this on cold days. It's good to see so many friends on this solemn occasion. Veterans Affairs Commission Chair Doug Hudson, Secretary Karen Berry, thank you for the job you do and the care for our nation's veterans. Folks, Governor Meyer, that was a beautiful address, and Lieutenant Governor Gary and Chris Coons, Senator Lisa Rochester, Representative Sarah McBride, thank you for your service to our state. And to my friend Tom Carper, thank you for your service to your country, not just being here, but flying in Vietnam. all the fights you had. God love you, Tommy. You've always been there, pal. Always. And thank you, Chaplain, for your invocation. And General Bill Wilson, Wessler, thank you for joining us here today. Well, thank you. I was going to say more, but I won't. Memorial Day is deeply personal to so many across the country. It is for the Bidens as well. Today is the 11th anniversary on the day we lost our son, Bo, because of it after spending a year in Iraq. And I thank you all for allowing us to grieve with you together. And General James Benson, thank you for your leadership in the Delaware National Guard. Serving the Delaware National Guard, including spending a year in Iraq, was one of the proudest things our Bo did, spend a year in Iraq. And he was happy to do it. There's never been so much to our family that the headquarters of Delaware National Guard has been renamed after our son Bo Biden and Finnegan Biden's uncle. Excuse me. Folks, for 250 years, the women and men of America have laid down their lives on the altar of an idea. An idea. You know, on this Memorial Day, in our 250th year, I believe that it's more important than ever to remember not just the fact of their sacrifice, but to remember the reason for their sacrifice. America. America is the only country in the world founded on an idea. Not geography, not oceans, not ethnicity, not any of that. Not religion, on an idea. A simple, basic idea. And that idea is that all women and men are created equal. All are created equal. Deserve to be treated equally throughout their entire lives. That's the idea on which we were founded. We're the only nation in the world founded on an idea. And folks, for generation after generation, that profound idea has been defended by ordinary citizens who stepped up and gave their all. Each and every one, a link in a chain of honor dating back to our country's founding. Each one bound by a common commitment, not to a place, not to a person, not to a president, but to an idea. Think of that. We're the only country founded on an idea. That idea, unlike any other in human history, that's the idea. And the United States of America is a product of that idea. Their legacy is an enduring fact of our democracy. Their souls live on in the soul of this nation. And folks, they live on as well. All those left behind, they live on with. They live on in the Gold Star families. In every military cemetery and churchyard across America lies a father, a mother, a daughter, a brother, a sister, a spouse, a neighbor. To anyone who's lost a loved one in the service of our country, today is a day to reopens that black hole that you feel in your chest. Every time it does it. And that reopens that black hole, but folks, it doesn't stay open. The pain, the grief is still raw for many of you, no matter how many days or months or years go by, no matter how much time has passed. Today, we join that grief with gratitude. The American military community makes up 1% of the population, and they make the ultimate sacrifice, risk the ultimate sacrifice for the entire 99% that remain. They are the spine of this nation. You heard me say it before. We have many obligations as a nation, but we only have one truly sacred obligation. That's to equip those we send into harm's way, care for them and their families when they come home and when they do not come home. That is how a nation remains worthy of what Lincoln called the last full measure of devotion. The ultimate act of patriotism for our fellow citizens who lay down their lives so that many of our lives can remain in peace and possibilities. Let me close with this. For the entirety of our country's history, we've engaged in a constant push and pull. The existential struggle between peril and possibility. It's a battle that's never truly won, never truly over, as our nation finds itself at war again. We honor those whose courage and patriotism have kept the flame of liberty alive for 250 years. Our fallen heroes and the families they left behind, and the brave souls who continue to wear the uniform today. Those warriors who've given their lives to preserve the idea of America. Because of them, American democracy has endured and prospered for nearly 250 years. Let the faith of those we remember today, their faith in the idea of America, renew our own faith as well. And let today serve as a reminder they were each of those foot soldiers. The enduring battle of the soul of the nation never left them. They stayed with it. My prayer for you is that it'll be said of all of us that we believed in our democracy, that we knew it was worth fighting for, and that we did our part to protect it. May God bless you all, particularly the Gold Star families. May God protect our troops. Before I sit down, with the Gold Star families, please stand up. We owe you and we honor you.
Thank you, President Biden, for those nice words. Next, we hear from Lieutenant Governor Kyle Evans-Gay.
You know, it's a privilege and an honor and a challenge always to follow the President of the United States. So thank you, sir. To everyone gathered here today, thank you for being here in an attitude of remembrance and an attitude of gratitude yourself. Memorial Day asks all of us to pause and remember and honor the courage of those who gave their lives in service to our country. And it is our job to surround their family and friends with our love and admiration, not just for the sacrifices they too have made, but for their commitment to keeping the spirit of their lost service members alive. This is not just our tradition, it is our solemn and cherished obligation. Memorial Day reminds us that the freedoms we enjoy every single day were not guaranteed without sacrifice. They were defended and they were preserved by the brave men and women who were willing to bear an unimaginable cost in service to something greater than themselves. Today and every day, we are called to honor our fallen, not only with our words, but through the lives that we choose to lead. We honor them by caring for one another, by supporting our veterans and our military families, by strengthening our communities, and protecting the democratic values they fought to defend. We honor them when we choose compassion and when we reject division. We honor them by never taking for granted the liberties we enjoy as Americans, the ability to speak freely, to participate in our democracy, and to build our own lives of opportunity and purpose. Military service is unlike any other commitment. Those who raise their hand to serve do not know where their duty will take them. They understand that service is unpredictable. Conflict can emerge without warning, calling them to missions they expected and others they never imagined. Yet when the call comes, they answer. In recent days, we have once again been reminded of the tremendous cost of that commitment. The current war has left families mourning soldiers who will never return home, soldiers who placed no condition on their service, men and women who did not ask about the politics of war, soldiers who answered a call because they swore an oath, because they had a duty. Soldiers who served with honor because they believed in the values of this country and because they loved the people of this nation enough to risk everything to protect us. Today we pray for those families who carry the weight of the recent sacrifice. We pray for the spouses and parents and their children. And we remember with particular gratitude and compassion the fellow service members whose lives have also been changed forever. And we pray that everyone in our country will never take their sacrifice for granted. Here in Delaware, we certainly will not take it for granted. We will stand with survivors as they work to move forward while carrying both grief and pride. We will honor those we have lost not only today, but every day, through our commitment to those they left behind. To the loved ones of the fallen, to our Gold Star mothers and Gold Star families, thank you. Thank you for your sacrifice and for your strength, for carrying forward the sense of duty and service shared by those you lost. We know that Memorial Day can bring both pride and profound grief. And while we will never fully understand the depth of your loss, we will always stand by your side. May we all today leave here recommitted to lives worthy of their sacrifice. Thank you, and God bless our state and our great country.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Now we hear from Senator Chris Coons.
President Truman said, "There is nothing new in the world except the history you haven't learned." As we gather today to remember those who have given the last full measure of devotion in loving sacrifice to our nation, we are so grateful, Mr. President, that you, every day, you served us as Vice President and President, began with a card you carried in your pocket that kept the names and the numbers of how many were serving and how many had fallen. And we are so grateful that on this day, you chose to share it with us. As your family grieves, as all of us who knew and loved Major Bo Biden miss him and grieve him, we are grateful for the way in which you have taught us to always honor and remember those who've served and fallen. Please give our president another round of applause. To Chair Doug Hudson, to all who serve on the Veterans Affairs Commission, to Lieutenant General Bill Welser, who will share with us about the importance of the AMC Museum and of not just his decades of service, 34 years in the Air Force, but how we in Delaware remember those who've flown on our behalf. To our Gold Star families, thank you. And for reminding us that we should never say, Happy Memorial Day. We should say, have a meaningful Memorial Day. Pray this Memorial Day. Remember this Memorial Day. But know it is a day of remembrance not a day of vacation. My older brother is a veteran of the 2nd Armored, and he has spent this week in Europe tracing the path of Easy Company, which some of you may know from the Band of Brothers. And it's been interesting as he has sent me pictures every day. First in Britain, where they prepared, second in Normandy, and throughout the course of the French countryside. But the thing that caught me that I wanted to share with you this morning was a photograph of the American cemetery in Margraten in the Netherlands. 8,300 Americans are buried there who gave their lives that the Netherlands might be free from Nazi tyranny. And every single grave has been adopted by a Dutch family that tends it with love every year. Not just once a year, but every day. Having been to the Netherlands, I've seen what their respect and their remembrance of our greatest generation sacrifice means. I've been to the American Cemetery in Tunis, to the American Cemetery in Manila. Around the world, millions are free today because of the service and sacrifice of our greatest generation. And I miss the generation in the Senate that I've had the honor serving alongside. Senator Carper, whose uncle gave his life in the Second World War. Our former president who lost an uncle in the South Pacific. And that generation that included those heroes from John McCain to John Kerry to our own Tom Carper, who served in conflict overseas. Today we have a new generation of combat veterans serving in the Congress, and they bring that important memory of service. It's also been said that those who forget their fallen do not deserve the freedom for which they served and fell. And so I think it is important that we remember and that we honor. President Biden led us in passing a bipartisan bill in his term of leadership called the PACT Act that was the single greatest expansion of veterans' benefits in American history. Not just words, not just speeches, not just showing up, but doing the things that make a difference in the lives of those who served and survived. Our president talked about the United States being a nation founded on an idea. And I've recently had some debates with my colleagues in the Senate about the difference between nationalism and patriotism. Anyone can love and believe in their nation, their country, the ground they're from, the ethnicity they're from, the faith they're from, the language they speak. But in our nation, patriotism is a dedication to the ideals of our nation. All of us who've been elected and all who serve in our military take an oath, not to any particular president, not to any particular tradition, but to our Constitution, because it is that Constitution that holds the ideals that are the bedrock of our nation and that are the guidepost and the lantern that should call us forward as we serve and as we defend our freedom. So in closing, to all those who mourn a loved one, a family member who fell, whether in recent days in Iran or decades ago in Vietnam or the Second World War, know that we honor your sacrifice. And to all who are in harm's way today, know that we join in prayer for their safe return so that future Memorial Days may be filled with memories of the purpose of their service and the guiding light of all who have sacrificed for our nation. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Senator Coons. Please welcome Congresswoman Sarah McBride.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chair Hudson, for facilitating today's event and for helping to lead the commission here in Delaware, to all of the commission members, to all those in leadership in the United States military and the Delaware National Guard, thank you for your service. To everyone here who has donned the uniform, thank you for defending our freedoms. It is a solemn responsibility and solemn privilege for those of us in elected office to join you here today, every year. And it is a particularly solemn privilege to share this space with our former president on this, the 11th anniversary of the passing of Major Beau Biden. Our country was lucky to have a president of such decency, of such compassion, and a president who understood what it felt like as a father to hug a child in uniform as they set off for war. I know I'm not the only one sitting in these chairs who is sitting in one of those chairs because of the role that Beau played in our lives. I am grateful to have known Beau, to have learned from Beau, to have been inspired by Beau. And I know all of us are grateful that Beau was your son and that you are Beau's father. And I know when you were president, you had a photograph of that moment I described, of you hugging Beau in his uniform before he set off for Iraq. It sat right behind you in the Oval Office, behind the Resolute desk, as not only a reflection of your pride in Beau, but I'm certain a reminder of the solemn responsibility that you had as Commander-in-Chief to fulfill the promise that we make to those who risk giving what Lincoln called the last full measure of devotion to this country. And that promise cannot be something that we just recognize on one Monday in May. It must show up in how we honor the fallen, how we care for those who have come home, and the families who have made their service possible. Today, we see it in the faces of those who live with the daily cost of our shared liberty. To our Gold Star mothers and Gold Star families, you know the cost of freedom in ways that most of us will never know. Your loved ones paid the ultimate price, and you carry that loss with you every single day. And while not everyone can comprehend the depth of your loss, those of us in elected office must feel the weight of it in our work. Your stories of your loved ones must shape how we think about service and sacrifice and the responsibility that we have to prevent more families from joining your sacred community. As the President and Senator mentioned, we mark 250 years of this country this year, 250 years since Thomas Jefferson articulated certain self-evident truths and laid the foundation for what we would call 407 years later, a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And as we mark 250 years of this country, another time span that has been on my mind is that other one I mentioned, 80 years. Because it seems that roughly every 80 years, our country faces a defining test, an inflection point. 80 years after the Revolution, we faced the Civil War. 80 years after that, in the shadow of a Great Depression, the greatest generation lost 400,000 Americans in defense of freedom. And now we find ourselves 80 years from that last inflection point. These are moments when Americans have to decide what kind of country we are. Inflection points when we're forced to choose whether we will relive history or relearn it. And that time span is not a coincidence. It's when the last living memory of the previous inflection point fades away. And now as the living memory of World War II fades, and as those who served in Vietnam, Senator Carper, retire from public life, the responsibility for those of us who remain in those positions of public trust grows. Because the greatest risk is that we forget history, that we become numb to the sacrifice and forget the lessons learned, the preciousness of freedom that previous generations were taught through trial and tragedy. We must never be numb to the real human cost carried by the selfless few and the families who love them. And as our national memory fades, as our individual and collective attention spans seem to shorten, we owe our service members leadership that remembers and understands the weight of their service. That is the test before us today. That is the example that President Biden has set. And I promise you, and I know I speak for my colleagues, that we will continue to seek to make decisions worthy of the lives lost and worthy of those still living and serving. So let us remember our fallen. Let us honor our Gold Star families. Let us respect those who are currently serving and those who have returned. And let us carry the lessons of their sacrifice in every decision we make. May God bless our Gold Star families. May God bless our veterans, and may God bless the United States. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's welcome former U.S. Senator Tom Carper to the podium. Come on, young man. I'll race you.
He said to me as I approached the podium, he said, "I'll race you."
Not today.
God bless you. Thank you very much. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How many have ever been to the Dover Air Force Base? How many have ever flown in planes that are maintained and operated out of the Dover Air Force Base? Let's put our hands together. Men and women of Dover Air Force Base, among the finest people who serve our country today. We are in their debt. Well, thank you very much for the privilege of serving you for quite a few years. And thank you for joining us here on this most meaningful day, Memorial Day. As we know, on Memorial Day, we come together to honor the brave men and women who, like my Uncle Bob, who I never met, gave their lives and made the ultimate sacrifice so that the rest of us might live in freedom. As the last Vietnam veteran to serve in the United States Senate and as the grandson of a Gold Star mother, I carry this day with me all year long. During the Vietnam War, I served with people, as did many others, who never came home. And I think of them often. I think of their courage, reminded of their sacrifice and the lives that they could have lived. And I know that many of you are carrying memories of your own family members, friends, and loved ones who gave everything. Their sacrifice reminds us of what it means to serve a cause greater than ourselves. At a time when our country is facing real challenges today, and you know what I mean, including division and uncertainty, we need to remember their example more than ever and to emulate it. They did not run from difficulty. They stood together. That spirit and that unity need to be rekindled again today. And I believe that it can be, and I hope you believe that too. We've been through tough times before in this country. A number of us has lived through those tough times. And we've always found a way forward. Not because we all agreed, but because we remembered who we are. We are Americans. We owe it to the people we honor today to carry that legacy forward with strength, with grace, and with purpose. May God bless the memory of those we honor today, and may God continue to bless these United States of America. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, Senator Carper. Now it's time for me to introduce our keynote speaker for today. United States Air Force retired Lieutenant General William Bill Welser III. General Welser concluded a distinguished 34-year career in December 2005 as commander of the 18th Air Force at Scott Air Force Base, Illinois. As Air Mobility Command's warfighting numbered Air Force, the 18th Air Force directed and executed global air mobility operations overseeing 12 wings, 3 groups, 2 expeditionary mobility task forces, and the Tanker Airlift Control Center. Following the attacks of September 11, 2001, he served as Director of Operations and Logistics at United States Transportation Command, leading global transportation operations in support of Operation Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom. After retiring from military service, General Welser served in singular roles at Northrop Grumman and later supported advanced forensic initiatives for the U.S. Air Force. He was inducted into the Delaware Aviation Hall of Fame in 2022. A dedicated community leader, he has led multiple veteran and service organizations, including Honor Flight and Habitat for Humanity initiatives, and currently serves as president of the Air Mobility Command Museum Foundation Board in Delaware. Please welcome United States Air Force retired Lieutenant General William Welser.
Well, it's been about almost an hour since we started, so it probably would be in everybody's minds here that why didn't you just get up and say what they said and be gone? But I can't do that because when you give a microphone to a general officer, oh well, I won't. You'll understand after my 30-minute speech or 45-minute speech. I have to tell you, Sue and I are proud to have, after 34 and a half years, returned to Delaware. It's our 25th move coming back here, and we are now Delawareans. 25th and last, as the governor says. And you know, as I look across the front row here, I remember Senator Biden and Governor Carper and the stories. And Senator Coons, since you mentioned the museum, all that money you have in D.C., send some our way, because we're about to build a new hangar, and you need to come visit us. I will mention, and Kate Rohr set me up to all this, we're about to start our very own honor flight here in Delaware. We've had 2 that we shared with Washington, D.C. On the 11th of October, we will have our first honor flight from Dover, and it is a Delaware honor flight. The first state honor flight is now approved. We will have applications out on the street very soon, and we suggest that all of our veterans sign up. Also, Guardians, you can sign up, so enough of the commercial. To be asked to come here today is quite the honor, because to me, Memorial Day is not a day to go shopping. It's not a day to go have a picnic. It's not a day to go to the beach. It's a day we must never forget that freedom is not free. I repeat, freedom is not free. Since the beginning of the Civil War, we've had 41.2 million Americans that have served in the military. Of that number, 1.3 million gave their lives for the freedoms that we enjoy today. And people get confused about holidays. There's several veteran holidays, but Veterans Day is the day that we say in November, thanks for your service. And I agree when it was said we don't say thank you for Memorial Day, we don't say have a happy Memorial Day, because that's not what this day is all about. We also had another holiday just a few weeks ago. It's called Armed Forces Day on the 16th of May. We celebrate that annually to thank those that are currently serving in the military. And then there is Memorial Day, the day that we honor those that gave their lives for the freedoms that we enjoy today. You know, back in 1993-94 timeframe, there was this guy by the name of Senator Biden. that came into the office at Dover Air Force Base when I was a wing commander. And you can't ask for anything until a senator says to you, well, what can I help you with? And then you can just start talking. And so he said, how can I help you, Bill? And I said, well, sir, how would you like to co-sponsor with Senator Roth a new terminal here at Dover Air Force Base, and I will give you back the $4.2 million that you've already given us to rehab this place if you give me $6.4 million to build a new one. He called me the crazy colonel at the time. But if you go to Dover Air Force Base now, you have a new terminal there, and that terminal is because of Joe Biden. And why is that important to Memorial Day? That's important to Memorial Day because of all of the people that come back through Dover Air Force Base after they've given the life for this country, and the families and those that support them for those coming back to our country go through that terminal. They now have a place of pride that they can sit comfortably rather than the closet we used to keep them in years ago. It was so small, and we couldn't give them, the families, the right to memorialize their members that are coming back on a dignified transfer. So, sir, because of your efforts, they can do that today with great pride. There's also, if you haven't been to Dover Air Force Base, you don't have to see what I'm about to talk about. There is a banner painted on the bridge. It says, all gave some. That's Veterans Day. That's what we say on Veterans Day. All gave some. Thank you for what you gave. But the bottom line says, some gave all, and that is Memorial Day. That is what we're celebrating last Monday and today. You know, this goes all the way back to the roots of the Civil War when it was Decoration Day. And, you know, when the Union soldiers decided to recognize their dead at Arlington Cemetery. I mentioned this the other day to some folks. Did you ever notice in Arlington Cemetery some of the gravestones, most of them are curved, some of them are pointed? Did you ever notice that? Well, those pointed gravestones are the Confederate soldiers who said, we ain't having no damn Yankees sit on our gravestone. And that's a true story. In the Civil War, there were 3.7 million that fought in that war. The largest loss of life in our country was a battle of Antietam of 4,710 people lost their lives. And the largest conflict of loss in this country is the Civil War, where we lost 655,000 people in that conflict. We then had World War I, where 4.7 million people fought in that battle. 116,000 died in World War I. I would ask all the World War I veterans to stand up, but there are no more. The last World War I veteran, named Frank Buckles, died in 2011 at the age of 110. There are no more World War I veterans that we can thank, but we can certainly memorialize those that gave their lives that we enjoy the freedoms that we enjoy today. World War II veterans. Do we have any World War II veterans here today? It's really gotten to be 16.1 million veterans fought in World War II. 405,000 lost their lives, and today there's less than 100,000 World War II veterans in the United States of America. If you know a World War II veteran, go hug them, buy them lunch, do something for them, and thank them for the freedoms that they allow us to enjoy today. How about Korean War veterans? Do we have any here with us today? Sir, thank you very much. $5.7 million of our Americans went over to the unwanted war in Korea. 36,000 lost their lives. Vietnam veterans, please stand. $8.7 were in the military for the Vietnam conflict. 2.7 million served in country. 58,000 did not come home.
Gulf War veterans in the room, please stand. I know you're out there. $2.3 million, and the number continues to increase. 7,000 have lost their lives. The proof of all those numbers is what I said in the beginning. Freedom is not free. It upsets me when I come to events like this or speak at events like this that every chair is not full with people that should be thanking all of those 13.1 million veterans. I thought about it for a minute. You know, we always say, let's have a moment of silent prayer, and we did that rightfully today for our veterans. But if you gave a moment of silent prayer, just 1 second for every one of the 1.3 million that have lost their lives, you would be quiet for 15 days. 15 days. Most of you are wondering or wishing that it would start right now, that we was And it doesn't matter whether you're active, guard, or reserve. We all wake up prepared to serve. We all respond when the call comes. And many of us are allowed to repeat that. Repeat to wake up, respond, wake up, respond. But every once in a while, that's not the case. And the guys that are around the room, don't get excited when I open this. This is I'm not used to having people behind me when I'm speaking. This is a flag. 18 people did what I just said. They were called. 18 people responded. 17 came home. The star on the top is a gold star. I mean, we talk about gold stars, but this is a family in Florida during World War II, and this is a flag they put together. This is a family that had 18 members go to war. One did not come home. A gold star family. You know, we talk about gold star, but what really brings it home to me is when you meet somebody, much like the ladies that are sitting here. And our Gold Star families come from all walks of life. Joey Marquez was killed in a Humvee rollover. His mom runs the USO, Dover Air Force Base. Andrew Krause was killed in a helicopter crash on the West Coast not too long ago. His dad owns Mission Barbecue. The helicopter that crashed into the airliner over National Airport, they were doing a continuity of government exercise. They all now are Gold Star families. And then the 14 people that have come back through Dover Air Force Base as a result of our recent conflict, they now are Gold Star families. It's interesting to say the word Gold Star, but until you actually sit and talk to those families and share with them about who it is that they lost and look at pictures of those people that were lost, you really don't understand the concept. So if you have never done that, I highly recommend that you take that opportunity. Let's see, I've got another hour and a half on my speech here. So I think it's best summed up by a song that I love. It's and I sing in the choir at church, but I'm not going to sing today. But I thank for those of you that sang along with the national anthem. Thank you for doing that. I heard some voices out there doing that. I love going to Mission Barbecue at noon. They sing the national anthem at every store at noon across our country. Everyone in this room ought to know how to sing the national anthem, and when you hear it, you ought to just join in. And I do every time. I did today. I can't help myself. But there's another great song. I'm proud to be an American, or at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the ones who died, who gave that right to me, and I'd gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. Because there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. 1.3 million are among those ones who died that provide the freedoms that we enjoy today. Let us never forget that freedom is not free. Thank you.
Thank you for those words, General Welser. Now, the DCVA Vice Chair, Steve McGuire, will now lead us in the wreath tribute. Will the Office of Veteran Services please present the wreaths?
It is time for the wreath salute. As a reminder, we carry out this salute from our seats to be respectful of attendees with mobility challenges. As I read the names of the organizations, please stand, if able, and salute the wreath symbolizing our veterans. American Gold Star Mothers Incorporated. Gold Star Families. The Delaware Commission of Veterans Affairs. Air Force Sergeants Association. American ex-POWs. American Legion and Auxiliary. Americans of Polish Descent Cultural Society. AMVETS. Association of the United States Army. Blue Hen Veterans. Delaware Military Academy. Delaware Military Heritage and Education Foundation, Incorporated. Delaware National Guard Retired Association. Delaware Patriot Guard. Delaware River and Bay Authority. Delaware Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution. Delaware Society of the Sons of the American Revolution. Delaware Veterans Incorporated. Desert Knights of America Motorcycle Club. Disabled American Veterans and Auxiliary. First State Military Academy. First State Military Women Warriors. Fleet Reserve Association. Freemason Masonic Riders. Heroes Welcome. Hogs and Heroes of Delaware. Jewish War Veterans. Kamikaze Survivors Association. Korean Defense Association. Korean War Veterans Association. Marine Corps League and Auxiliary, Military Officers Association of America, Military Order of the Cootie and Auxiliary, Military Order of the Devil Dog, Military Order of the Purple Heart, Military Order of the World Wars, National Association of Black Veterans, National Guard Association of Delaware, Paralyzed Veterans of America, Pilgrim Baptist Church Veterans Ministry, Purple Heart Riders, Reserve Officer Association of Delaware, Scottish American Military Society First State Camp, Silent Service Motorcycle Club, Sons of the Union Veterans of the Civil War, the United States Army, the United States Marine Corps, the United States Navy, the United States Air Force, the United States Space Force, the United States Coast Guard, United States Submarine Veterans Incorporated, U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, U.S. Navy Cruiser Sailors Association, U.S. War Dogs Association Incorporated, U.S. Submarine Veterans Incorporated, Veterans of Foreign Wars and Auxiliary, Vietnam Veterans of America, Vietnam Veterans Motorcycle Club. One more. Warrant Officers Association. If your organization was not called and you wish to honor our veterans, please stand and salute at this time. Legion of Valor. I will now return the Master of Ceremonies duty to Chair Hudson. Thank you.
Thank you there, Vice Chair. As soon as I find my place. Hang in there, folks. I know you're a little chilly. This is the fourth quarter. We'll be all right. Okay. Now we'll hear from Executive Director Anthony Bordeaux with the Delaware Department of Veteran Affairs.
Thank you. We are entering the fourth quarter. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As we bring the ceremony to a close, I'd like everyone here today and watching online to remember, this ceremony was to honor and remember the military personnel who died while serving in the U.S. military. We mourn their loss of each of them, and we honor their ultimate sacrifice. As you depart today, please reflect upon the meaning of today's ceremony. Thank you to General Welser for providing the keynote speech, and thank you to Chairman Hudson for emceeing today's ceremony. Thanks to all the veterans and families in attendance today. Finally, I would like to thank a special thank you to the Delaware and River Bay Authority for hosting today's ceremony. They are instrumental in hosting today's ceremony, for building and maintaining this memorial park, and maintaining and operating that large structure off in the distance we call the Delaware Memorial Bridge, which is celebrating its 75th anniversary this year. So thank you to DRBA. Please give them a round of applause.
Thank you, Director Bordeaux. At this time, Chaplain William Guy will once again come forward for the memorial prayer. Please rise for the benediction and remain standing as Specialist Carter Stefan leads us singing, God Bless America.
If you'll join me in a brief benediction. Now, Lord, may you bless us, may you watch over us, may you guard, and may you keep us. May you make your face shine upon us and be gracious to us. May you lift up your countenance upon us and give us your peace within our hearts and within our lives continuously. We ask this in your holy name. Amen.
While the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us pledge allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair, as we raise our voices in a solemn prayer. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the honor of volley and playing of taps. Honor guard, post. This concludes our ceremony. Thank you all for attending, and thank you to all the veterans and families for your service and sacrifice.